My husband spent all my money on another woman.
Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's sent me on Instagram. My disgusting loser husband is a serial cheater. He's cheated so many times, I've lost count. We've been married for 5 years, and 1 year into our marriage, I found out he was cheating on me with my nail tech. He always insisted on going with me to the nail salon. He would drop me off and then pick me up, bring us coffee, and I thought he was doing it because I was his wife. He was just trying to get in her pants. After I found out he was cheating on me the first time, I told everyone at a family dinner. I outed him in front of his parents and his siblings, and my parents. But his parents did not want us to get a divorce. They convinced me to stay with him because he was going to be on his best behavior, blah, blah, blah. But when I forgot, my husband never really had a job. He works for his parents, but really he doesn't do anything. They basically just pay him to exist. They know that he's lazy and that all he really cares about is chasing skirt. I, on the other hand, I work in tech and have amassed a small fortune, and I know that my husband has always hated me for this. This is where you're all going to blame me for this. I gave him access to my money when we were planning our wedding. Part 2 is up. My husband spent all my money on another woman. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. After I gave the loser access to my bank account because I thought we were in love, I thought he would get money from me every now and then for the wedding planning. But after the 3rd time I found out he cheated on me, I changed the password to all my accounts. I thought he didn't have access. But it turns out that he put something on my computer which memorizes everything I type, so he could see everything that I was doing on my account. This is when I found a love letter in his pocket. Turns out he was cheating on me with our local bank teller. That's when I finally realized I needed to divorce him. Weeks later, when we're finalizing the divorce, I look at my account and realize I only have $20,000 in there. So I file a police report. This is when the police found out that he had been sending himself money from my account and that he was giving it to this bank teller woman, and she put a down payment to a house. My husband's lawyer claims that it was all fair because I gave him access to the account. That was my money. My father almost ran him over with a car, and his parents keep defending him. I'm taking him to court next week. Oh yeah, and the woman, she ended up leaving him because he was cheating on her too. Bye!
Imagine you end up falling in love with a gay man. It started out as a situationship that lasted 5 years. You were the aggressor and the chaser. When you met, he told you he wasn't ready for a relationship, but you knew that you could just change his mind if he gave you a chance. After months of you guys hanging out, he finally caved in with some liquid courage. You thought this was going to be it. You thought he'd want a relationship and that he would fall in love with you. The first couple of months, it was fun. Thing is, he's really charming. He's got great style. He loves to cook. He's a really good host. Every Thursday, you guys would have a movie night. He would make you the most amazing food. But after a few months, he started losing interest, and you became desperate. The more he would let go, the more you would push him into a corner and ask him if he wanted something more serious. And every time he said no, you would argue for 3 hours. This went on for 4 years, on and off, because he would block you, because you were overbearing, controlling. You always wanted to be with him. After 6 months of radio silence, like magic, he calls you and asks you if you're still interested in him. Are you giving him a chance? Of course you are, because you're obsessed. Babe, part 2 is up. What would you do if you ended up falling in love with a gay man? You've now been in this situationship for 4 years with him. After he's done blocking you for months, he calls you and asks you if you still want to be in a relationship. And you don't even hesitate, you just say yes. But it wasn't the same as before. He's always busy with work. He can't really spend too much time with you. After 6 months of you constantly chasing this boyfriend, you ask him why he wanted to get back together with you if he's not even willing to spend the time. This is when he tells you that he had a really bad experience with somebody, but he doesn't tell you who, that he's just really sick of dating people. He's ready to settle down, and he promises to make more time for you. But actually, nothing changes. He's distant, but not cold. And when you do see each other, you guys have fun. When you're not with each other, he doesn't even remember to text you, never calls you. You're the one that has to make all the plans. One day, he shows up to your apartment crying and scared. You asked him what happened. He told you a man followed him home. And this is when you find out he's been in love with this other man for years. That explains his behavior. He's begging you for help. Are you gonna help him? Part 3 is up. What would you do if you fell in love with a gay man? He comes to your apartment crying and scared. He confesses to you that he's in love with a man who is stalking him, and that's basically why he wanted to get into a relationship with you. He explains that he's been gay his entire life, and that he's been hurt so many times by men, and all he wants to do is to be able to fall in love with you. You finally understand why he's been so distant, and why he's never said I love you, why he avoids spending time with you. He ends up asking you for help. He proposes a lavender marriage, that you get married, that you take care of each other, and that you are just life companions. And that's it. All your hopes and dreams of a relationship with this man have been destroyed. But because you're so in love with him and you see how hurt he is, you want to say yes. But are you really willing to marry a gay man for his own comfort? There are plenty of other men out there for you, but he is technically your best friend, and he gives you the best advice. Will you accept, or will you try to find another man? Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye. I caught my roommate's boyfriend taking pictures of me while I napped in my room. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. 6 months ago, I had to kick out my lying, cheating boyfriend. Not only was I the one paying for all of the bills and the rent, he had been talking to multiple girls on Instagram at once. When he moved out, I realized my life would be a lot easier if I just got a roommate. Somebody to just share the expenses with. Through word of mouth, I landed on my now roommate. And she seemed perfect on paper. She was a nurse working at a hospital. She was my age. She was very health conscious, loved to cook, and at first seemed like the type of person that I could trust and rely on. The day she moved in, she asked me if her boyfriend could sleep over. I told her that night he could, but that I would prefer to have my own space without any man. Explained to her the situation that I had just had with my boyfriend. She said that she respected it. When I met her boyfriend, he seemed really considerate, very charming, and helped out around the apartment a lot, especially with moving her things in and cleaning up after them. I thought I had landed in roommate heaven. But one day I'm napping and I thought I was alone in my own apartment. When I wake up, I see his hand holding his phone through my door. This man was taking pictures. Part 2 is up. Caught my boyfriend's roommate taking pictures of me while I slept in my bedroom. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. When I wake up from my nap, all I see is a man's hand and his phone pointed at me through my door. I immediately get up from my bed, go outside, and realize he had left the apartment and left the door open. And I knew it was him. I called my roommate immediately. I told her what happened. Luckily, she had just gotten to her apartment and was on her way up. I was so angry at the fact that I'm sleeping in my own apartment and now I have to be scared that there's a man lurking. Once she walks into the apartment, he was in defense mode, that nobody was in our apartment. Once again, I told her exactly what happened and that the door was left open. She said no, that he would never do that. Then she told me that he was probably not even in town anyway. I asked her to call him on speaker and his phone was turned off. He came over that night. They're both gaslighting me into believing that I was probably just dreaming, that he would never do that. When I asked to look at his phone, she slammed her bedroom door and left me there by myself with him. Obviously, he would have deleted the pictures by then. Of course, I asked her to move out. She continues to say that I was dreaming and that nothing happened. How in the world am I ever going to prove this actually happened? What should I do?
I broke one of my husband's rules and he kicked me out of our house. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Okay, Huzzy and I have been married for 7 months. A little backstory. Looking back now, I know this was an arranged marriage. My parents were basically desperate for me to get married. I have lived in my parents' house for the past 32 years. Some of you might think that's way too long, but I just love living with them. I hang out with them. I cook with them. They're my besties. But at some point, my dad thought I needed to get married so that I could have kids because my eggs were drying up. They ended up setting me up with one of their best friend's son. To say we hit it off is an understatement. Was almost like love at first sight. But the problem was, he is extremely controlling. We got engaged 6 months later, and that's when he gave me a set of rules to follow. No eyeliner or bright makeup, no spaghetti straps, nothing backless, no short skirts, no short shorts. Basically, I can't show my legs. I can only wear my hair in either braids or a tight bun, because if too many men stare at my long locks, they will find me too desirable. Truthfully, I thought it was a joke, but he was dead serious. Because I was in love, I said yes. And after our marriage, oh god, it got worse. Part 2 is up. My husband kicked me out of our house after I broke one of his rules. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. After the wedding, he started controlling not only what I wore, my makeup and my hairstyles, he started to control what I ate. Suddenly, I couldn't have dairy, and I'm a total cheese addict. And get this, I couldn't eat anything processed. Oh, and don't even think about fast food. And he would never let me go to the supermarket by myself. Every single time we went grocery shopping, we would get into huge fights. Then came all the hygiene rules. He did not want me to wear deodorant, and he did not want me to bathe every day. After 2 months of being married, I was ready to file for divorce. And thank God my parents had my back. Okay, something I forgot to mention in part 1. My husband started his own church. Do you see where this is going? I was so angry and resentful, I decided to break a couple of rules. I showered, I straightened my hair, I put on a full face of makeup, I Ubered pizza, McDonald's, and Mexican food. And when he came home, he saw me eating everything. Not only did he yell and get angry, he grabbed my purse, threw it out the house, and told me to leave. Yeah, part 3 is up. I found out my husband had a cult where he was married to 2 other women. Nothing could prepare me for what I was about to find out. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I got to my parents' house and they started apologizing because they are the ones that had set me up with him. And this is when they told me everything. They found out from my husband's parents that his church functioned like a cult and that he was married to 2 other women. Oh yeah, and remember all the rules I had to follow? All of his church members also had to follow the rules. He would also make everyone confess their sins in a circle in front of everybody else. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't know this, but one of my husband's rules for me was that I couldn't go to his church. I confronted him that very same day and he denied everything. He said my parents and his were lying to us and that they didn't want us to be together. I filed for a divorce, but he refuses to sign the papers. He's still denying everything. Oh, and if you thought he apologized, no, he didn't. What do I do? I hate my best friend because she's better than me at everything and I just want her to fail. Am I crazy? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I met my best friend over 3 years ago. We both worked at the same corporate job, but I was way ahead of her. I was already making 6 figures, I lived on my own, and I had a really great relationship. She, on the other hand, was broke. She was just getting out of an abusive relationship. She was basically starting from the bottom up. I decided to take her under my wing and help her out, and now I totally regret it. I would take her out to lunch once a week so that I could help her out with the job, because I started in the same position and I knew exactly what she needed to do to rise in the ranks. I gave her my best advice, and not only did she implement it, she did better than me. My bosses loved her. Everyone in the office loved her. She was charismatic and funny, and she was the girl everybody wanted to sit with at lunch. At first, I supported it. I mean, she needed the help, and if I was in her position, I wish somebody like me would have helped me. But my hate began to grow. Part 2 is up. I hate my best friend because she's better than me at everything, and I just want her to fail. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. After I gave her all my best advice to grow at her company, she started doing really well. And after a while, it started bothering me that everybody loved her. She got a huge promotion. Now she was basically on my level. And what I'm about to say sounds so shallow, but she was very overweight when she started working with us. I'm a Pilates princess and I lift weights. I'm in excellent shape. When she started earning more money at our job, she signed up for my Pilates classes and we would go together. Instead of me paying for our lunches, she started offering to pay. And it took her a whole year, but she lost all of the weight. She was looking just as good as I did. This is when it really got to me. But I realized something about myself. I was only okay with being her friend if she wasn't doing as good as I was. Why did I care if she was doing so well? Why did it bother me? One night she came over for dinner at our place, and my boyfriend gave her an innocent compliment. And it made me feel so angry, envious, and jealous. Then I started hating her even more, and I started having dreams that my boyfriend was going to leave me for her. Part 3 is up. I hate my best friend because she's better than me at everything, and I want her to fail. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. After she lost all the weight, I started having dreams she was going to take my boyfriend. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but after she signed up for my Pilates classes, she also started doing all the same workouts I did. Started shopping at the same stores I did. Anytime I would go buy makeup, she wanted to come with me. She would buy the exact same things. She even started copying my style of makeup. The better she did at work, the more I hated her. Whenever we used to go out, I was the one that got hit on. But now she was getting hit on too. Sometimes she would even copy my poses on Instagram. I thought she was becoming obsessed with me. But when I told my therapist about this, she said I was becoming obsessed with her. That's when my therapist told me I needed to stop hanging out with her. So I wouldn't invite her out, and whenever she invited me somewhere, I'd just say no. But at work, it was impossible. She was stuck on me like a piece of chewed gum. And now the more she wants to hang out with me, I just hate her more. I don't want her to do well anymore. And I just want her to leave the city. I'm sick of her copying everything. I'm sick of me getting angry every time I see her do something. But I'm just not sure how to break up with her. What should I do?
You have a bestie that's a little bit toxic? Story time. Disclaimer, this is my story. When I was 20, I moved to LA. I was so broke, I had 4 jobs at the same time. I worked at a hookah lounge where I cleaned the toilets and served. I also worked at a Mexican restaurant, I walked dogs, and I was a personal assistant. The Mexican restaurant I worked at was on Sunset Boulevard. And boy oh boy, did I meet a lot of celebrities. On one occasion, I met a girl who was in a couple of movies. Is she in movies now? No, she's not. So I would say she's like an F-list celebrity. She was the type of girl that got everyone's attention, wanted to be the life of the party. And as soon as I walked up to her table, this girl wanted to adopt me. She kept saying things like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. Right away, she was acting like my best friend. It was as if the it girl, the popular girl at high school, wanted to befriend me. I fell for it hard and fast. She had a lot of money, and because I was so broke, she would pick me up and take me places with her. She took me to a couple of industry parties. This is where her envy was showing. She introduced me to a couple of people. By a couple of people, I mean huge celebrities. But you know how she introduced me? You guys, meet my little friend. Her name's Esther, and she's a struggling actress. She works at a Mexican restaurant. I wanted to crawl in a hole and never come out. Part 2 is up.
Know that toxic bestie that we've all had? Story time. Disclaimer, this is my story. After she embarrassed me on purpose by introducing me as her little friend who works at a Mexican restaurant, I wanted to crawl in a hole and die. I was standing in front of a bunch of celebrities, while this F-list celeb made me feel so small. But she was also the kind of girl that would recover really quickly. She would start complimenting me on how beautiful I was. So I would feel better about her having just embarrassed me. I would somehow just justify it in my mind. She was also the type of girl that would start telling me all of her secrets, and this is when I made a big mistake. I started trusting her with my own secrets. This is what those toxic besties want. They want you to trust them so quickly and for you to fall right into their trap. Well, I did. I talked to her about my relationship with the fiance that I had at the time, and I even confided in her about the essay that I had experienced. And before I knew it, she started copying my style. My first language is Spanish, and sometimes I answer in Spanish. If you ask me, do you want a bottle of water? Sometimes I'll say sí. or no? So she started saying sí or no. And I laughed when this happened. I quickly realized that I was influencing her more than she was influencing me. On one occasion, she invited me out with her friends. Suddenly, I became the topic of conversation. All of her girlfriends started asking me about my SA and what that was like. And they started bringing up all the issues I had with my fiance. I realized that everything I had told her, she repeated back to them. I felt like an animal in a zoo. They stared at me, asked me questions, and waited for me to answer. They lived for the drama. My drama, to be exact. After that, I realized she wasn't a friend. She was a frenemy, a gossiping, drama-addicted frenemy, waiting for me to fail so that she can feed off of me. You know you have or have had that bestie. And if you still do, I think you know what you need to do. Self-care sister out. My boyfriend sent my nudes to everybody we know, and my parents kicked me out of my house. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I come from a really small Mexican town. Everybody knows everybody. Now, when my boyfriend started to pursue me, I was 17 and he was 23. Not only was he chasing me, he hounded me down. He was turning over rocks just to find me. I have to be honest, I did hide from him a couple of times because he was so intimidating and so intense. Exactly 1 week later, he convinced me to go out on a date. And on that date, I realized he was actually okay. And we were inseparable after that. But I told him that we had to keep our relationship a secret. My parents were really against me dating. Now, for weeks, he tried to convince me that we should do it, but I just wasn't convinced, and I didn't really even want to, so why would I? And of course, he started saying that if I didn't, it meant that I didn't love him, so I promised him that on my 18th birthday, I would do it with him. So on my 18th birthday, we did it. While it was happening, he pulled out his phone and started taking pictures of everything. At first, I said no, but he said that it was for him for later use. So I let him take the pictures. Babe, I'm sorry, but you gotta go to part 2. Bye. My boyfriend sent my nudes to everybody we know, and my parents kicked me out of my house. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sent me on Instagram. He begged on his knees if he could take those pictures. And I let him because we were in the moment, you know? And by the way, that was the only time we had ever done it. I just had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. Around this time, he started insisting that we get engaged. Keep in mind, I had just turned 18 and he was 23. And if my parents even found out that I might have a boyfriend, would have meant the end of the world for me. So I kept saying no. And this is when he started accusing me of trying to get with other guys or trying to look single, and he actually didn't believe that my parents wouldn't want me to be in a relationship. And after a couple of days, he started threatening to tell my parents that he was with me. And even worse, that we had done it. He thought my parents were just going to make us get married. He left me no other choice, so I broke up with him. And the very next day, I wake up to tons of messages on my phone. And when I opened the first one, my stomach sank to my ass. It was all of my nudes posted all over Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and everybody was sharing it on WhatsApp. And my parents were waiting for me in the dining room. I'm sorry, babe, go to part 3. My boyfriend sent my nudes to everybody we know, and my parents kicked me out of my house. This is when I wake up to an obscene amount of messages. The pictures were circulating around Facebook, being shared all over WhatsApp. And worst of all, my parents are waiting for me in the dining room. Not only are they angry, they are so disappointed in me that I would give myself to a man and that I would let him take pictures. And unfortunately, in my background, women are labeled as whores so easily. My dad started calling me a whore, and so did my 2 brothers. My mom tried her best to defend me. My dad kicked me out of the house. I immediately called my boyfriend, and of course, he blocked me. Thankfully, my best friend had my back. Her parents let me move into their house. Now, everyone in our town treats me like trash. The cashiers at the supermarket told me that I ruined my life. 2 boys at my school started harassing me, and one of my teachers is giving me the silent treatment. Even the lady at the smoothie bar, she told me to get out because I was a bad influence on everyone in there. I feel like my life is completely ruined, and I'm only 18. Finally, my ex decided to reach out, but not to apologize, only to tell me that I needed to be careful because some guys were planning on SAing me when they caught me alone. After 6 months, I went back to my parents and I apologized. And my dad was more calm, so he was able to listen to me. And they took me to the police so we could file a report against my ex. But guess what? Police laughed in our faces. They said to just let it go. What should I do? My best friend only keeps me around because I'm fat. Disclaimer, this is not my story time with sending me on Instagram. I've always been the chunky, pudgy, overweight, chubby girl in the group. Now, our friend group consisted of 4 girls in high school. Once we graduated college, 3 of us stuck together while the other one was kind of out. Then the other 2 girls in the group got boyfriends, and I was on my own. Eventually, they stopped reaching out to me and it was like I didn't even exist. Let me be very clear about something. I have accepted that I'm the chunky girl of the group. I never get jealous. I do not envy them. They are all very attractive and skinny, but I just don't care about that. I'm happy that they love their bodies, but I feel okay in mine. But of course, I knew that I needed to get healthier, so I signed up to the gym. Around this time, one of my girlfriends broke up with her boyfriend and she started coming around again. And I accepted her friendship again, but I told her that it hurt my feelings that she completely ignored me once she got a boyfriend. She promised that she would never do it again, and we started going to the gym together. She's the one that always gets hits on. Guys compliment her. It's like I don't even exist. In fact, they ask me for her number when she doesn't want to give it to them. You see where this is going? Decided to get dressed up all cute and we went to a bar together. Babe, part 2 is up. You gotta go watch. My best friend only keeps me around because I'm fat and I make her look good. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. That's when she invited me to go to our favorite bar. As usual, she always invites me to go to her place to get ready. Nope, she can never come to mine. So I lugged all my clothes and makeup all the way to her place. And as we're getting ready, she starts suggesting that I change my outfit. I felt really cute in my outfit. It was a sleek black blazer with the matching bottoms, tight black tank top, and gold jewelry. But as soon as she saw my outfit, she said I looked way too formal. And then she spent the next 30 minutes trying to convince me to change and put on one of her tight-ass dresses. I asked her if she was in her right mind, considering her dress wouldn't even fit my right thigh. Then she said that I needed to calm down and that we should just go get drinks. And then she ended up copying my outfit. She wore a gray blazer with skinny jeans. When we get to the bar, I started having fun right away. I saw one of my besties from work, and her and I get along so well. This is when I noticed my bestie was really quiet. But as usual, she's only waiting for a guy to come hit on her. Finally, some random dude comes up to her and asks her if she wants a drink. She's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." Then she looks at me and says, "It's always good to have you around, you know? Part 3 is up." My bestie only keeps me around because I'm fat and I make her look good. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Let's send me on Instagram. That's when she tells me that it's always good having me around, you know? And I did not know what she meant at the time. When the random guy shows up with her drink, and then she does the thing that she always does. She flirts with these guys, puts her hand on their shoulder, tends to laugh at their stupid nasty ass jokes, in the hopes of getting a second drink. Me, on the other hand, was dancing and having fun with my coworker. That's when the random guy says, "Hey you need to tell your best friend to give me her phone number." And I responded, "I mean, she will if she thinks you're hot." That's when my best friend whispers into this guy's ear, but loud enough for me to hear, "Oh, she's just upset because I'm the one that gets hit on and not her. You know, because she's a little bit chubby." It didn't even make me angry. I already knew she thought this, but it stung. Like the fatty I am, I invited my coworker to a nice dinner. I left my bestie at the bar without a car. I also sent her a text saying, "I heard what you said about me to the guy, and if that's what you really think about me, then this is not a friendship I need to be pursuing." The next morning, I had about 20 missed calls from her, and so I blocked her. If she really wanted to, she could have come to my house. Do you think I did the right thing? Self-care sister out. I ended up getting plastic surgery because my boyfriend is prettier and hotter than me. You can totally roast me in the comments, but hear me out. When he and I matched on Bumble, I was shocked that he would even want to talk to me. I knew right away that he was way out of my league, and he was way prettier than me. Preparation to go on this date, I dieted for 3 weeks, and I lost 7 pounds. I put 3 layers on of Skims compression Spanx. That's how desperate I was to look skinny. Colored my hair chocolate brown, got the butterfly haircut, got 1 mil of lip filler. On the day of the date, I actually got my makeup done, but it was such minimal makeup that he thought I wasn't wearing anything. By the end of those 3 weeks, I had completely transformed. And the first time he met me, he kept commenting how beautiful my skin was, how rosy my cheeks were, pretty and plump my lips were. I actually believed I had no makeup on. I realized everything I did worked. I knew from this moment on I had to keep up the act. Now, no way in hell was I ever gonna have a small waist. So I went to a plastic surgeon, and I ended up getting 360 lipo. And I also got new boobulas, but they weren't huge, they were just a little bit bigger. How did I explain this? Told him I had appendicitis and that I had to get surgery. Have to go to part 2, it's up. I got liposuction because of my hot boyfriend. I knew I needed to keep up appearances, so I decided to just go ahead and get the plastic surgery. At this point, him and I had only gone on 3 dates. He kept telling me how much he liked me. So I got the 360 lipo, I got a boobie aug, only 1 size up. Got cheek and under eye filler, I got a little bit more in my lips. Told him I had appendicitis and this is why I was getting surgery. He came to my apartment twice while I was recovering. 3 weeks later, I looked so much better. And around that time is when he asked me to be his girlfriend. I kept eating healthy and working out and I kept losing weight, but I knew that I needed to keep up the makeup look. He thought I wasn't wearing any makeup when we met. Whenever I stayed over at his place, I would wake up earlier and put a little bit of makeup on. It's been a year and he still doesn't know about any of it. I don't care. I'll continue to put makeup on and style my hair in the mornings before he wakes up. My body looks a million times better now that I actually have a waist. And I've been putting in the work and gained lots of muscle. All of my friends have congratulated me for my glow up. My life has gotten so much better. People treat me better. I even got the position I wanted at work. Now I have the hottest, most amazing boyfriend. This wouldn't have happened had I not put the work into myself. Would you have done the same, or is this totally cringe?
My narcissistic dad ruined my wedding and told my husband that I cheated on him. Welcome to The Confessional, the only series where you send me your confessions or story times so that you can get some genuine advice. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 15 because I hated him so much. Growing up, anytime the attention was not on him, he would be in a really, really bad mood. When I would come over, my dad would start guilting me over abandoning the family, and whenever I told him that I was moving out because of him, he would say that I was just crazy. When I moved to college, I thought he would not be able to affect me anymore, but boy, was I wrong. I begged my mom not to tell him that I got a boyfriend, but she told him. He started to call me to question me about my boyfriend. boyfriend. I convinced my mom to move out of their house. He got so angry with me, he called my boyfriend, told him that I had been cheating on him for a year. My boyfriend knew exactly what my father was like and didn't believe him. 2 days later, he actually proposed. My dad got so angry, he called us, told us that we would never last. The day of our wedding arrives and asks specifically for my mom not to bring my dad. My father shows up with 2 of his friends, completely drunk. And you know the part where the priest says, if somebody is against this marriage, you should speak now or forever hold your peace? This is when my dad steps up to the podium and says, my daughter cheated on you and you're still gonna marry her? That same day, my husband and I went to the police and filed for a restraining order. He doesn't want you to be happy, makes everybody's life miserable. Definitely try to get that restraining order because he's probably never gonna leave you alone. Run. Run as fast as you can. Self-care sister out. Bye. My boyfriend showed up to a birthday party my husband planned for me and would not leave me alone. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I have been cheating on my husband since the moment we got engaged. This is a horrible confession, but the guilt has been eating at me for 6 years now. Long story short, I've gone on over 100 dates, but I met this guy that would eventually become my boyfriend, even though I'm still married. My husband and I began to fight about money because we had investment properties together. I became so resentful that I didn't care about cheating on him. Now the problem is I told my boyfriend that I was leaving my husband. Everything culminated on my birthday. My boyfriend found out that my husband was planning a Bridgerton themed party for me. And if you're wondering how he found out, he saw my husband's Instagram story. While we're at the party, my boyfriend shows up and I see him right away. I leave for 40 minutes, only to end up breaking up with my boyfriend because I couldn't have him ruin everything. Me and my husband divorcing means a huge financial loss for me. He was so upset, but at the same time, that's when the guilt of cheating on my husband for this long really hit me. I've exited all the dating apps and essentially blocked hundreds of men. I don't know if I can be faithful, but I sure will try. Or should I try to get my ex back? I caught my best friend hooking up with my ex in my car. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. To be fair, I always knew my bestie had a crush on my ex. He's extremely attractive, very successful, and has one of the best personalities in any man I've ever met. The problem to me was that he prioritized his job and his family more than our relationship. But of course, that's how he became so successful. And I told him how I felt. He said it wasn't fair to me that he couldn't prioritize our relationship because his priorities were elsewhere. We broke up amicably and everything was fine. You're not gonna believe this. 2 weeks later, my bestie asked me for my car. I work from home, so I decided to loan it to her for 3 days. The day she was supposed to give it back to me, she ghosted me. So I took an Uber to her place to pick up my car. When I pull up, I see her making out in the car with somebody. First, I couldn't see who it was until the guy gets out of the car. It was my ex wearing the hoodie that I bought him. I immediately began to cry because I was still so depressed about the breakup. Then they told me that they were beginning a new relationship. They wanted my blessing. I vomited on the way home. They both keep calling me, asking me for forgiveness, and my bestie wants to get back with me. What should I do? I was the side chick and didn't find out until the wedding day. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I caught feeling so quick for my boyfriend. Our relationship moved really quickly. We dated for an entire year before I found this out, by the way. He was the perfect boyfriend. Always wanted to spend time with me. Paid for everything. He would even fix things around my parents' house. And once a month, he would cook breakfast for me and my family. I thought I won the love lottery. Then I started recognizing the red flags. He would never leave his phone around me. And suddenly, he was always busy on the weekends. He always had an excuse. A few weeks ago, he left his Apple Watch at my place. I found a conversation between him and someone else, and the last message said, "I can't wait to marry you this weekend." I read 6 months worth of messages. They had been together 2 years. I was his Monday to Friday. She was his weekend. I took screenshots. I went to Instagram, found her, and sent her everything. This is when she asked me to go to the wedding. You heard that right. She didn't care that he was cheating on her, and she didn't care that he had a side chick, me, for a whole year. This is the really messed up part. I'm so in love with him that I never told him I found out. My hope is that he'll decide to stay with me and leave her. She even went as far as blocking me and asked me not to say anything. My family thinks I have no self-respect, but I know I'll never find anyone like him. What should I do? Story time about how I cheated on my man on my bachelorette party with my bestie, and I preferred her over him. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sending me on Instagram. My fiance and I have a very healthy relationship. He is a man of God. He is very stable, financially responsible, and very family oriented. Don't get me wrong. We have the same morals and values, but our life is kind of boring. He's very safe. He prefers to stay home when I prefer to go out with friends. Life has been like this for the past 3 years. My 4 best friends decided to throw me a bachelorette party in Vegas. I had way more fun in that weekend than I'd had with my fiance the past 3 years. After partying and clubbing for 17 hours, we all went back to our room and we all decided to play spin the bottle. I know, sounds so childish, but it was fun. There was 9 of us and we all kissed each other. But then my bestie came to my room later on that night and certain things happened. And that one night made me realize just how little fun I was having with my own fiance. My bestie and I laughed about it the next day, but nothing has happened since. Obviously not going to tell my fiance, but what if I may want to do it again? Is it that bad to have a little bit of fun? Or should I just be honest with my fiance? I think ignorance is bliss in this case. What do you think?
Am I the asshole for dating my sister's ex? Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I know that I'm the problem, but my problem is that I kind of like toxic guys. I always wanted to have a jealous, possessive boyfriend, a guy that would be totally obsessed with me. The guy I was dating at the time was from Michigan. He was not of the I want to provide for you mindset, I want to take care of you mindset. Sister's boyfriend is Armenian, and he's all about providing, being a caretaker, being a provider. But along with that, he was definitely jealous, possessive, and controlling. He wouldn't let my sister go out with their guy friends anymore. Sometimes he would need to approve her outfits. My sister got sick of this really quickly. Whereas I would see my lazy boyfriend, all I would want was my sister's relationship. So I began to romanticize their relationship. My sister breaks up with her boyfriend, I break up with mine because he was lazy. A whole year later, I end up bumping into my sister's ex at an Air One. This man flat out said to me that he wanted a live-in girlfriend, and that if I was willing to do that, he would take me out on a date. I said yes. We dated secretly for 2 months. After that, he kept insisting that I move in with him, so I did. And this is when my sister finds out, because obviously I had to tell her where I was gonna go live. My sister got upset for me, not at me. She told me that I didn't know what I was getting myself into, that he was very controlling in all aspects. I've been living with him now for 3 months, and I love it. He's controlling and possessive. That's what I've always wanted. I'm a nail tech, so I still take on some clients in our apartment, and I love it. I cook for him, I clean for him. Yes, he's very intense and slightly obsessed, but is that wrong to want that? I just really want my sister to give me her blessing. Am I wrong?
I got drunk at my wedding and made out with the best man. Girl, what? Welcome to the confessional. Send in your story times and I'm gonna read them on here. My husband and I got married 2 months ago. Girl, 2 months? My husband's family is Christian and they are very strict. My mother-in-law chose my wedding dress. During the planning of the wedding, my husband had his best friend with him at all times. And during that time, I caught his best friend staring at me several times. Spicy! Every time we caught each other's eye, we would just stare at each other for a few seconds and then look away. The night of our rehearsal dinner, he came up to me and asked me if I was stressed. I responded by saying yes. Then he offered me a drink. My husband doesn't really like me drinking, so we went to the bathroom and took shots together. It was actually really fun and exciting, and we both hit it off that night. If you're wondering if I felt guilty, no, I did not. We ended up drinking 3 shots each, and he almost kissed me. At least I got the feeling. Too much blush? The attraction between us was palpable, and when I looked down, his thing-a-ling was hard. Our wedding was the next night, and I couldn't stop thinking about his best friend. As I was getting ready for the wedding, he came and knocked on my door while the makeup artist was doing my makeup. Oh my gosh. And said that I looked so beautiful, he couldn't believe it. That's when the makeup artist asked him to leave and said, the groom can't be in here. That's when I said, that's not the groom. That's my husband's best friend. Oh, damn. The ceremony goes off without a hitch and we go to the reception. This is where it gets juicy. My fiance and I had practiced a dance for us to do for the guest, but he refused at the last minute. I instantly get upset at my fiance, walk straight up to his best friend and ask him if he wants to dance. We get up, start dancing, and instantly my husband gets up to dance with his cousin? Ew. Ew, what? Why is he trying to dance with his cousin and not his new wife? That's when all the guests jump up and join us on the dance floor. After 30 minutes of dancing, he takes me by the hand. The best friend takes me by the hand and walks me outside. Suddenly we're alone and he kisses me. The butterflies in my stomach went crazy and we couldn't stop making out. Luckily, nobody saw us. We went back to the party and pretended like nothing happened. Oh girl, something did happen. After spending 2 weeks in Greece with my husband for our honeymoon, I was completely unhappy. A little background, we had only known each other for a year before we got married. We had never even traveled together at that point and he was being an absolute nightmare. After we got back, I decided to hook up with his best friend and we did it. We've been having an affair ever since then. I asked my husband for a divorce, but he won't give it to me because of a visa issue. What should I do? In my professional opinion as a story timer here on TikTok, I would say be honest with your husband. Say to him that you don't want to be with him. They'll be happy with the bestie. Travel with him before you get married. Everyone leave your advice in the comments. I love you guys. Bye.
I kissed my ex-stepdad for fun, and now he's obsessed. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. This man really only dated my mom for 6 months when I was 12. But the memories I have of him are so beautiful. He was a really great boyfriend to my mom, but because my mom is a toxic queen, she cheated on him twice and he found out and left. Now, this was the man I was hoping my mom would end up marrying. But instead, my mom didn't marry anybody and kept cheating on all her boyfriends. Unfortunately, growing up, I started repeating my mom's extremely toxic behavior, especially when it came to men. I was a addicted to male attention. I needed male validation. I wanted to dress up and be seen. I would flirt with as many guys in school as I could just to see what I could get. Even at the gym, I was flirting. Also, I had no girlfriends because I was a total pick-me. Any single time I tried to make friends with a girl, she ended up hating me. I would accuse her of being jealous, but really, I knew deep down inside that no girl is gonna like a girl like me. This is really embarrassing to admit. When I did have girlfriends, I always flirted with their boyfriends. It's really something that I'm ashamed of and I do get embarrassed by, but at least I'm honest with myself. So all of this happened 5 years ago. Since then, I've had major therapy, so I realized that what I did was totally wrong. On average, I was going on about 3 dates per week, really just to see what I could get from these guys, whether it was attention, a free dinner, gifts from them. That's what I would feed on. As I'm getting ready for one of these dates, I forgot I needed eyelash glue. With my hair and makeup half done, I go to the drugstore, and as I'm climbing out of my car, I see my mom's ex. This is the best way I can describe how I felt. We looked at each other, acknowledged who we were, and then I fell into instant lust. Was it some sort of messed up desire of me to repeat my mom's toxic behavior with this man? Was it because I saw him as a potential future daddy and my mom left him? I went straight into my flirtatious mode. He hugged me and treated me like the little kid that I used to be, and that's when I told him that I was a grown woman and that he should see me like one. He laughed it off and asked me how my mom was. We talked for about 5 minutes. I went inside, got my eyelash glue, and on the way out, I just knew I needed to do something. So I went up to him and asked him for his number. I said we should catch up with my mom. Oh, and I was shocked when he said yes. So I texted him and told him that my mom and I would love to have dinner with him, which was a total lie. I was not going to invite my mother. I show up to the restaurant and we had the most amazing time. He was so attractive. Perfect face, perfect body, perfect hair, extremely smart, older, more wise. He had money. Sparks were flying all over the place and he knew it too. At the end of the date, we were making out in his car and then he went and dropped me off at my place. For the next few days, I kept thinking about him, but then I was like, I don't really want to see him again. Why? Because I get bored of guys really quickly. I know, toxic. But he kept messaging me every single day, asking me to go out. Decided to be honest and told him that I just really didn't want to pursue anything. This man kept calling me and texting me for the next 3 years, always asking me to go to dinners. He would even send me flowers. I recently told my mom about it. She told me that I should have accepted going out with him. He hasn't messaged me in about 6 months, but a big part of me kind of wants to reach out. Still haven't found anybody that I love, and I still crave male attention even though I am going to therapy. What do you think I should do?
Story time about how my parents forced me to marry my first cousin. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. In 1962, I was 22 years old. I was studying biology at my university. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. In fact, I had planned out every single year of my life. During this time, it was very uncommon for women my age to even study, to own businesses, or the expectation that I could be single until I was 30. But I expressed to my parents many times that I did not want to get married. Now, that's not to say I didn't want family or children, but I really wanted to focus on my career. Fortunately, both my parents thought that I was crazy for even wanting to study, let alone waiting to get married. Now, I think the one that really suffered from this idea was my mother. She would come into my room at least once a day with tears in her eyes to tell me that she thought I needed to get married to have kids, because without kids, I would have nobody to take care of me in the future. 2 months later, my parents let me know that they have arranged a marriage for me. Now, did I fall into a deep depression? No, actually. I was actually open and excited until they told me that it was my first cousin. The cousin that I grew up with and was almost like a brother. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my parents forced me to marry my first cousin. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. When they told me who I was going to marry, I was beyond sick to my stomach. I had grown up with this cousin. He was like a brother to me. For the next 8 hours, I groveled, I begged, and I kept promising my parents I would do anything to meet any other man, literally marry anyone else but my first cousin. They said that it was too late. Months later, there I am, dressed in white, marrying my first cousin. But the biggest twist of all is what happened after that. We were married for 2 weeks before I realized how sick this was. I couldn't touch the man, and thank God he couldn't touch me either. We knew that it was totally wrong, but of course during that time you just did what your parents wanted you to do. Divorce was really quick. I went back to school. I got married about 10 years later. Yes, everybody thought I was an old maid, too old to marry, no man will want me, but my husband and I had 4 kids. We're still married. Because of the Vietnam War, I actually became a nurse. I retired in my 50s. Now I live on a beach with my husband. You are never too old to follow your dreams, so start now. My husband paid for all of my plastic surgery because he wanted me to be perfect. This time is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. 4 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He was given 8 months to 1 year. But you're never gonna guess what my husband's biggest fear was. He was afraid that I would end up alone. His dying wish was for me to remarry, but we both knew that might be a little bit hard. I was already 55. I also gained 40 pounds after we found out about his cancer, and I started taking care of him. We were never able to have kids either, so he knew that I would be completely alone. One day he tells me that he's willing to spend whatever it takes for me to get plastic plastic surgery for me to feel better about myself, which will make it easier for me to meet other men and possibly get married. I ended up getting fat transfer, a deep plane facelift, breast implants, my nose, filler, and Botox. After 8 months, I was finally healed. After healing, I also managed to lose 20 pounds. Not only did my husband live long enough to see my new body, he actually set me up on dates. And by the time my husband died, I was planning my next wedding. I am now married and a stepmother to 7 kids. I miss my husband. He died in my arms with a smile on his face. I will always be grateful to him. My husband wouldn't let me have children for the first 10 years of our marriage. When he finally decided he wanted kids, I was too old and he left me for someone younger. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My husband finally proposed. I was 39 years old and I wanted to have kids right away. We had a very lengthy conversation and we both agreed that as soon as we got married, we would try to get pregnant. But once we got married, he began to backtrack. Not just backtrack, he demanded that I take pills and he went as far as suggesting that I should tie my tubes just in case. I refused to take the pills and do anything he wanted. He threatened to divorce me. Because I was so head over heels in love, I said fine. At least once a year we would have a huge fight about when we would have kids, and he would say he just wasn't ready. You're gonna think I'm such a pushover, but I waited until my 49th birthday to demand we have kids. And when we tried, fortunately I couldn't anymore. Here's the plot twist of the century. In the past 10 years, my husband got 3 women pregnant, and he only let one of them keep the baby. And when we found out I couldn't carry, he left me for her. We didn't sign a prenup, so I took all his money. I moved to the beach and lived by myself, and now he's bald, fat, and alone.
When I was 16, I told my mom that I was going to go study with some friends when I was actually at a friend's house. And you guessed it, tons of boys. Story time. Looking back, I have no idea how I survived some of the situations I ended up in as a teenager. In my defense, I did not actually know these boys were going to be there. So let's call my friend Maria. Maria invites me to her house. Now, Maria wasn't the nicest. She was a lot nicer than the other girls that bullied me in class. So I trusted her and I go to her house. As soon as I get there, I see not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 boys from my school. 2 of them had already told me they had crushes on me. And of course, everyone is in the pool. So she starts insisting that I put on a bikini. Because I was a little pushover at the time, I said yeah. So I find myself in a bikini with 4 high school boys while I'm still in middle school. And she starts insisting that we play truth or dare. And what does she do? She dares all the boys to kiss me. And when I say no, they all start making comments about how little I am and what a little girl I am. So humiliated and mortified. Snuck into her house, called my mom and confessed, and begged for my mom to come pick me up. When I get to school on Monday, one of the boys that was at her house tells me that he kept the bikini that I was wearing. I know some of you can relate to this. I should have trusted my instincts.